Hello guys, this is Gavin with ASM. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Today we're going to be speaking with Dave Clancy. Dave Clancy is the head coach at UCLA. He's the head rugby coach at UCLA over in California. So we're going to try and find him. Hopefully he's getting online now. Feel free to line up your questions, guys. Aha, here he is. Let me know if you can hear me okay, guys. There he is. How are you doing, sir?
Good, mate. How are you having me on?
We are on. We are live.
Great.
Already got about 40 or so people watching, so all good. We've got some numbers in there.
Brilliant.
Oh, and you got your coffee. I forget. Yeah, you're in California. It's what, 9:30 for you, right?
By Californian standards, I think. They're not much of early risers out here.
You're putting the stigma.
Yeah, I've had messages with players at about midday, and they told me they're just out of bed.
Nice. So, mate, let me sort of introduce you real quick. So, there's a lot of people jumping on, and obviously want to chat with you and say hi and just kind of get a bit of information about your position there and about what you're doing as an organization. So, Dave Clancy's the head rugby coach at UCLA, one of the top universities in the USA. So you're from Ireland originally, right, Dave?
Correct. Yeah, born. Yeah.
How did we first meet? It was must have been a few years.
Yeah, it was a while back. I spent some time over in the Cayman Islands, and we had a under-19s tournament in Hialeah, I think it was, in Florida. I don't know how to pronounce that, but you were up, I think, scouting, representing some colleges, and we bumped in there, and so I've been around a bit.
That's right, Christ. That was a long time ago. That's going back a few years now. Awesome. So yeah, how did you? I know that you'd been obviously come from Ireland, and I remember at one point you were up in maybe Chicago, right? Is that am I mistaken?
Yeah, I've been all around really. I mean, when I stopped playing, I got involved with Munster in their academy there, mostly in like a strength conditioning skills capacity, and then I spent a year out in Samoa, 2011. Worked with the under-20s team that won the World Trophy there. Worked with the national team leading into the World Cup in 2011. I came back to Ireland, got involved with the Munster, set up again with the under-19s with a kind of a bigger role, and then the opportunity to go out to the Cayman Islands. It was only supposed to be for 6 months on like a British Olympic scholarship to help their sevens team try and qualify for, I think it was the Commonwealth Games at the time. And we lost in an overtime drop goal to Mexico. And then, but I mean, that got the fire in the belly down in Cayman Islands, and they ended up keeping me for about 3.5 years, and kind of evolved there. But it was good because
nice. Cayman Islands is beautiful. How did you manage to swing that one?
Yeah, I was lucky. It was actually someone from the Welsh Rugby Union, a contact that I had over there, Dan Baugh, who was a strength and conditioning coach of the Welsh national team at the moment. I think he's with Dragons now. He reached out to me, the head of fitness at Munster, Alan Walters, at the time, and they were looking for a young kind of strength and conditioning guy to help prepare, that had some experience with sevens, to go out and help prepare the team. So I got very fortunate to get out there, and it was good because like when I was in Samoa, that was a real turning point for me because I met Scott Wisemantle, who was the attack coach for England at this last World Cup, and he's like, mate, you should be coaching, like you know the game. So it was a blank canvas for me to go out to like a developing nation and really cut my teeth as a coach and start taking on some skills, backs coach and then head coaching roles and whatnot, and really apply my trade and learn from my mistakes. And and then the opportunity, I came up to the Chicago Lions in 2016 and did a couple of years with there, more as a director of rugby kind of capacity, and built out like their women's side, their youth programs, their inner city outreach program and whatnot. So it was more of a program building role. We had some success. We won Midwest Championships, were 4 every year, etc. And then I've been doing a little bit of work with USA Rugby as well. Initially I shadowed with the Falcons team on the men's side, but then when Chris Brown took over the women, I was consulting with them for his first season until they made the assistant role full time, and still do a lot of consultancy with the pathway. So I'm the AllAmerican women's coach and pathway coach for women's sevens. So kind of been jumping around the place, and then landed out here in UCLA at the start of the year. Right, time for all the chaos.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty impressive resume when you put it like that. Like I recall now that we did bump into each other, and one of the coaches introduced us in Florida at that competition, and I didn't realize that you'd kind of gone all of those different routes along the way. But that's a pretty impressive resume. So it makes sense now that you're in one of the top rugby programs in the USA system. And I didn't realize that you were doing anything with the All-American women's team either. That's news to me. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm probably not very good at promoting myself on social media, but yeah, kind of keeping the backgrounds.
You're not as aggressive with it as maybe I am. I'm a complete.
No, the only time I think I got out, I brought the Falcons over to Japan last October, and that's when we found Christy Kershey on that tournament. Work had put forward for that side, and we played New Zealand on the second day, and she just tore it up. And I rang Chris Brown and Emily, and I was like, "Hey, like this girl is exceptional. Like this is the next filter type thing." So, and
she's great to watch. Got all kinds of talent. Really aggressive. Love watching her.
Yeah, I mean, credit to like Northeast Academy, Rich that runs the program up there. He said that when he put her forward, he's like, this girl is the next to Lev Gelter in terms of how she moves, how she plays, how dynamic she is. Like, okay, come on now. And then, yeah, short thing, like couple of games in, we're like, oh wait, she's very good. So yeah, I mean, it was
a lot of people are really excited about the women's side of the game as well. And I speak to a lot of clients worldwide that are coming through the ranks, and they want to get in the university system. One of my biggest issues is actually finding the women around the world that realize that they can actually get opportunities here in the US. I don't know if UCLA has a women's team though. You guys don't have a women's team, right? Or am I wrong?
It's probably just doesn't get as much promotion as the men's team, but it's something that, like, from my interview stage, I made a point of saying that I wanted to build up the women's program here as well. I don't know if there is the space in the college sector for like a director of rugby type role, but I definitely want to assist. And we've been collaborating as much as we can through COVID with Matthew Rabba and Joanne Absher, who are their head coaches. But I mean, they've got fantastic numbers. They've got like 50, 60 players. I think they're at the point where I think they almost need to cut. They're going to start exploring sevens a little bit more, and then, I mean, obviously they've got the ability to access our phenomenal facilities that we have for rugby, so there's nothing really holding back from being a powerhouse. So I'm hoping that like their trajectory will be really rapid,
right,
out here on the West Coast. And you're right, like I've actually had people reach out through the men's application on the website and asking me about if we have a women's program, but yeah, it's a superb opportunity, and I think the women's game is actually in line to probably grow even quicker and faster than the men's game on the college side anyway. And there's more varsity programs for start.
So for us as an organisation, obviously, I think maybe we need to promote that more aggressively on the women's side of the game. I'm a big proponent for it. I worked with Rugby Americas North for quite some time commentating, and they've got a lot of programs in place to help grow the game in this region, through the Americas and the Caribbean. But yeah, I think we need, as rugby in general, need to promote that side of things and make people aware that there's a lot more opportunities for women in rugby. That's I aggressively talk to the team in the office because I'm like the rugby guy, right? So everyone's like, "Oh, Gavin's talking about rugby again," keep banging on about it. But they do come across it, and they constantly come to me and ask, "Oh, can we get opportunities for women?" And I'm like, yeah, let's bring them, let's go, bring more of them. So that's really cool. I had slipped my mind that you guys even have a women's program. So that's one to put in our notes for future. We've just actually taken on a really good player from Sweden. I don't think she's at the Swedish national team, but she's definitely played some age grade stuff. Really aggressive ball carrier. So that's someone I'll get on Christoph. Christoph kind of deals with Scandinavia. And I'll put him in touch with you to introduce you to that.
They've actually great programs over in Sweden. There was an Irish guy that was like director of rugby there for a while for Cork, and I was doing some advising with him. I went over there a couple of times, but it was actually a funny story because in Munster we had this program called the TIP program, Talent ID program. So he just took that, set up a TIP program in Sweden, but I guess it translated as chicken or something. So he set up the national program. But yeah, they've got some really good things going on over there. And David Mobbs, that works with the Jesters, a touring sevens team based out of the UK. He just with their women's sevens team. But yeah, Swedish rugby is definitely on the up and up. It's just the European legs are quite competitive, and it's hard to kind of get up here. So
cool, good stuff. So I've got a lot of people asking questions on here, so I'm gonna go just jump into a few of those just to mix it up a little bit. But there's Josh Oliveira. He asked, "What's the training schedule like for the players at UCLA? What's like their day to day for a bunch of your guys or girls?"
Yeah, I mean, frankly, that's something that I changed pretty quickly. I mean, UCLA has been a powerhouse in rugby. It's been around for nearly 100 years. They've won national championships. First Eagles coach was Dennis Storr, was a UCLA coach, and 6 or 7 guys on that team were UCLA Bruins. But I mean, as you and I both know, like, the game's moved on quickly, and it's exciting, especially in the States. And you've got your powerhouses now, like your Lives, your Lindenwoods, your Cals. And when I came in, I mean, the frequency of training with the team, they were training about 3 times, doing some S&C, but it wasn't very formalized. So we've gone to the point now where we're training every day of the week, and we're training twice on Tuesdays in addition to a couple of S&C sessions. And this is actually a question that comes up probably most predominantly when I talk to recruits. They want to know like what our schedule looks like, because what kind of like how professional is this rugby experience going to be? So I mean, the best thing I guess is to go through it. So Monday we train in the evenings. Like, we don't interfere with classes. Like, we're a top academic university. We don't interfere with that. That's first and foremost. They're students first. Monday at 6 o'clock is video. So I condense it down over huddle, and we do maximum 15 minutes review on our previous game, and we do about 10 minutes opposition preview where we do some trends, and Alex breaks down like the lineouts, the set piece, and some stuff from the other teams, and I look at like their attack and defense structures. And then Mondays, like, because I'm very development orientated as a coach, like with my background in academies and whatnot, so we do 30 minutes of skills, what we call cornerstone 30 minutes. So we work on catch, pass, breakdown, tackle, or ruck for 30 minutes. And a very it's very slow, it's very technical, but we rotate through those skills every Monday for 30 minutes. And then the team have their first major together as a squad on Monday night after. So that skill session is almost like a warm up for the lift. And that lift is where they do their main compound exercises, where they need spotters, where they need encouragement, technical work, Olympic lifts, deadlifts, that kind of stuff. Tuesdays and Thursdays then are like traditional rugby sessions, 6 to 7:30. On Tuesdays, however, Alex comes up and does scrum profile work with all our forwards. So they do about 15 to 30 minutes as a group, and then he does like video feedback with the individuals from their previous game and gives them some individual work-ons they can do to improve like their scrum profile. And then meanwhile, me and the pretty boys are over doing some kicking and stuff. So and then today's night session is very heavily geared towards contact, collision, defensive systems, and it's quite a high tempo session. And then Thursday's session is much more focused on transition, attack shape, open play, and conditional games, scenarios, that kind of stuff. Wednesday then is like our middle day. That's our high intensity day. So that would be like our Eddie Jones session. We play chaos type. There's very few drills in it. It's all game-based condition with parameters, and they're encouraged to find space, or we're focusing on offload or support lines or transitions or whatever within a high tempo workout for about 60 minutes, probably 50 after warm up. And from there, then what we do is we put the skills that were put technically under instruction on Monday under the test of being performed under fatigue immediately afterwards for 30 minutes. So the forwards go and do a conditioning top up because we have an outdoor gym area beside our field. So they go do very functional fitness type stuff in season, prowlers, battle ropes, tires, that kind of stuff. And then they'll come over and do forward specific skills with me, whether it's tip passing, whether it's breakdown work, whatever, under quite severe fatigue. And then the backs do the inverse of that, where they do some skill work with me. And then for our backs, I mean, they're in a sevens squad, and for them, their S&C is a little bit more of a top up in terms of like volume and whatnot. So And then Friday, depending on our travel, like if we're at home, we'll do a captain's run, maybe 20-minute, 30-minute walk through. If we're traveling, we might be flying or getting on a bus on Friday afternoon, and we'll do a walk through and team meetings at the hotels. So it's pretty full on, but I mean that's been guided by the players. Like everything is in the program, and they're ambitious and they want to be competitive. So they've driven for that level of training, and so I'm very fortunate to have guys that want to put that much effort in.
That's good to hear, because obviously being like in the top division in the country, obviously people are looking at you as, okay, that's one of the go-to teams in the country. Recruiting or sort of qualifying our people is a big part of it is how serious is rugby over there. And from what you just told me, it's pretty damn serious. I mean, you're basically doing a similar amount of workload as some, at least semi-professional, some even lower level professional teams.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, like, even if you take a Leinster, they only train probably 4 times a week, full on field sessions. There's skill work and there's meetings and whatnot. But like in the modern professional era, in season, they're training maybe 4 times max. So we do a lot. I mean, but like some of it, like with my S&C background, like the skill session on Monday in the lift, like the skill session is low intensity, and we manage their training load and their volume, and they do extra gym sessions on their own, which we monitor through software, and yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's quite a lot, but I mean, we're short and sharp, and my coaching philosophy is like, we're not going to be like one of those coaches like, okay, we'll do one more rep and get it right. Like, we finish at 7:30 on the dot every time, and our sessions are blocked out to like within a minute, and I'm there with a clock, and we're like, okay, on to the next thing. Alex gets frustrated because he wants 5 more minutes with the forwards always, but and if he's got 15, I've got to like hoodwink him, and then when he asks for 5, he has it.
Yeah, you can do a little bit of that with him. He's easily fooled as a prop forward. You can pull the wool over his eyes pretty easy. Just show him something shiny or show him some food, and it'll be fine.
When we've good banter, actually, but it's like, I mean, I guess it's quite unusual in collegiate America to have 2 coaches who are like 30 years old. So for the guys to look up at these figureheads as being guys that like are young, that are fun, and I mean, I guess my interpretation of a lot of American sports, it's very top down, like dictative in terms of style of coaching. It's like it's X's and O's, black and white, and we're very engaging with the players. Like a lot of our coaching style is very conversational. It's asking questions, getting them to explore, learn through doing, and that's what my coaching philosophy is built off on. And then I guess for a lot of them, they're not used to like if I'm joking around with one of them about being a little bit small, Alex will call me out and be like, "Look at you, mate," like, and they're not used to that's okay with their coach. But like when we get to work, we're serious. But like, there's a real good vibe amongst the group, and I think for a lot of them that's very unusual, and a lot of them have actually self-reflected that to me and Alex,
right,
that they're not used to actually being able to have a joke around or weigh in their opinion with a coach, and that they really enjoy it. It's something that they're transitioning to, like really getting used to.
Would you say that reaction is more from the American kids or the foreign kids, or both?
Yeah, I think it's probably more from the American kids, and I mean, and that's one thing about our program that like it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I mean, there's 2 different opinions on having like a lot of international pro students in your rugby program in America. Like, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And I mean, we have probably 5 kids from the UK. We've got Australia, New Zealand, France, Spain, Hong Kong, and Canada represented within our playing squad. But I mean, for me, I just think the benefits outweigh any perceived negatives, because the Americans are getting like exactly the equal opportunity. I'm a fair coach, whether you're a freshman or a senior, you can start. But the culture that comes in with that is exceptional. And like you and I would like, my first trip away with the team was up to Cal Poly Slow, which is maybe a 3.5-hour bus ride up through Santa Barbara. I mean, like the road trips here aren't bad.
Yeah, nice. That's a pretty road trip actually. It's really nice.
My assistant coach was like, make sure you're sitting on the left side of the bus on the way up. I'm like, why? And he's like, you'll see the ocean, you'll see all the surf breaks.
Yeah.
But on the way back, the boys sang everything from like Waltzing Matilda to like Walking Down Parnell Street to like rugby songs from all around the world on karaoke. I mean, then they deviated off into like your Lady Gagas in the world, which was worrying. But like it was cool because like there was this real diverse culture within the group, and you could tell that was being led by the guys bringing like a little bit of their rugby culture from back home, and I think as well, like the guys, especially some of our guys from the UK this year, like really driven. They're like play hard, work hard. Like they're great blokes off the field, and they like good time after the game, etc. But like on the field, they're like some of the hardest working trainers, and I think that's been a really great culture fit for our program.
Excellent. No, yeah, it must be really interesting to see all of those cultures coming together, and obviously like a smart bunch of kids, because you can't play around to get into UCLA, and this is off the back of a couple of questions that have popped up on how to get into UCLA. You know, you've got to have some smarts behind you. It's not all about being an amazing rugby player. So with that sort of culture, and then obviously having a good education behind you through high school, what are the standards to be able to get into UCLA, just to satisfy some of those questions that are coming in on the chat?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, it's the most applied to school in America. We got an average 110,000 people applying every year. The admission rate averages out at about 12%. So, for in-state, that is actually as low as 8% on average. For internationals, it's as high as 16-17% in terms of success rate getting in. The GPA average, unweighted, comes out at about 3.9. However, I'd be encouraging everyone from 3.5 and up to apply, because 96% of our incoming class every year are 3.5 and above.
Okay.
So, like, that's kind of our cutoff. I mean, doesn't mean you can't get in if you're 3.4, no, but like you're playing up against a 96% chance. And the reality is, like, those 4% probably are coming in on the football team. So, you know what I mean? So, like, 3.5 and up. And I mean, but they do look at like a lot of other things. I mean, just go through some metrics depending on what part of the country you are. If you're abroad, if you're going to take an SAT test, you're looking at a range of like 1,300 to like the mid 1,500s. Or if you're ACT, kind of the magic number is 30 and up. So, you know, you've got to be doing quite well across all those parameters in the ACT test, and then you've got to do your essay format in either one of those. But I mean, it's a self-reporting application process where you apply directly to the UC schools. So there's 8 themes, and you answer 4 essay-based questions that are like you're writing yourself. And what they're really looking to see is like, are you going to be a true Bruin? Are you going to can you demonstrate commitment, leadership, involvement, whether that's through your sport or otherwise in other extracurricular activities? Because they're very proud here of like how engaging and involved their student population are.
Okay.
I mean, for my advice to like guys who want to come and play rugby here is like, don't just list your rugby credentials, how many MVPs, how many years you were a captain. Like, yes, you know, show how that rated your commitment and leadership to the team, but like also portray yourself as being like a circumspect individual. Like, do you coach the youth team? Are you involved in a church group or an outside charity? Did you learn at an architecture firm during the summer, etc.? Like, what show like a little bit more to give a more rounded version of yourself than just your rugby endeavors? Because as you and I know, like, rugby is still not. It's not American football over here. It doesn't, you know, move the needle too much.
Sure. Well, we're trying to change that. We're getting there. I think we're making.
It's definitely getting there. And one of the most exciting things for me, honestly, moving out to California, we host a tournament every year, the Martin Luther King weekend in January, and we've got about 10 or 12 high school teams, some of the academies, like, and you've got some of the top programs from like NorCal, SoCal, and the talent of the high school rugby here coming through is exceptional. And it's getting better. And what's even more exciting is that I've talked to some of the coaches now in NorCal and SoCal, and they know that like there's some really good individuals who are now coaching. And then in SoCal, what you see is this building of the ecosystem where like a lot of the Legion guys and the US Sevens guys are being immersed into coaching programs. So you might have Ryan Mattias or Perry Baker or Charlie Purdon or whatever coaching you with your high school in Southern California. So you're getting exposed to some really high level rugby IQ, and that's only going to fast track the level of talent that's coming through into the colleges. So I'm really excited for the college game in the next 10 years now that the high school program, the grassroots program, and the level of coaching there has gone it's gone through the roof, you know.
So on the back of that, if you've spent some time in like Chicago and sort of over this coast a little bit, and obviously the Caribbean, and now you're in California, if you looked at that age group, sort of the 16 to 22 year olds, right? In those 3 regions, sort of northeast states, the Caribbean, and California, could you kind of, in your opinion, sort of give a little bit of a comparative on the level of rugby in those 3 different areas?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess there's in Chicago, there's some very prominent high schools that rank highly in the top 25, whatever. You got like your Brother Rice, you got a load in Indiana, like represented from the Midwest, like good strong schools, and they're generally very successful because they've got a good alignment with their football program. The players play, both through high school. So you've got you've got some really good coaches in those programs who've been around for a very long time. So there's definitely some good athletes there. I think the depth of talent in California is probably higher from 15 and reserves. And you've got teams with two sides and whatnot. So in terms of overall team play, I'd say California is probably a little bit better, but there's definitely lots of talent in the Midwest as well. And in the Caribbean, you've got kind of the unique phenomenon in that what maybe holds back some rugby over here is the very, very top athleticism is probably drafted into another sport. Like if you're 6'6" and you can move, you're not playing rugby. You're like the basketball coach and football coach is okay over here. So, but in the Caribbean, I mean, you don't have. Depending on the country, when you're in Jamaica, it's track and field. When you're in Trinidad, it's soccer. If you're in Cayman Islands, it's kind of a hybrid of everything, just such as the expat population there. So you do get some exceptional athletes in those youth programs. Bermuda is another one. Ever since they set up that youth outreach program, so many athletes that they have in their youth program. So the talent's there, but the challenge, I guess, is that they don't have the level of competition. They play one under-19 tournament a year where they get to play other competition, but for most of them, they don't even have another team to play on island.
That's true.
So I think, but for those guys, I think they would excel in a college environment in America because they have the raw ability, they've got a passion. Rugby is their number one sport, and you put them in a more organized training structure like our training routine, their development would go through the roof in a month.
It really would. Yeah, I see these kids. I commentate most of that competition specifically. I've still been doing that competition, the under-19s RAN tournament. They didn't do it this year, of course. But the talent that you've got, you just think to yourself, if those kids could get some exposure in a more structured environment, it would blow it out of the water. And the likes of Jamaica that have, those ambitions to play in the Olympics and all that stuff, they would do phenomenally well if they were exposed to these, getting into the UCLAs. But you've got to keep banging through to them that they need to do well in school. That's the big thing for them as well, I guess. So a couple of other questions that I've got here from folks that were asking. It kind of goes straight for the gullet on this one. But how much does it cost to go to UCLA, and then what kind of scholarships might be available for people applying there?
Yeah, I mean that's our biggest barrier is that we're still a competitive club sport, so we don't have access to tags per se or academic scholarships. So it is quite a costly place for an American. You're talking $20,000-$30,000 a year. However, 50% of the students at UCLA do avail of some sort of financial aid. So for domestic applicants, it's definitely something where you get in academics and then you sort out the financial side of things afterwards. They don't allow it to be a barrier. For international students, it's a little bit more difficult. I mean, there's a lot less wiggle room there unless they were to declare their family were to remove residence and become California natives or whatever within a couple of years, which we do have. A number of players, like the guy from Hong Kong, a couple of guys from the UK whose parents are now residing in the Bay Area or whatever. So by the time it gets to their junior year, they can transition into in-state status. So, but for the international students, you're talking about that's $60K, not just tuition. That's tuition, full board, meal, insurance, books. That would be at the end of the year, you're doing your books, and that's how much it costs you for the year to live. So it's not the cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. 60 grand's expensive, but if you've got good grades, then it all helps you a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, look, that's kind of. Yeah, still here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't catch the thing, but I was just saying, 60 grand's a lot, but you've got, obviously, if you've got good grades, then there's a lot of opportunities for you to get that.
Sorry, Sorry, I think we just had a bit of a glitch. Have you got me now?
Yeah, we're back. But yeah, just to heard that last one. But I'll move on to a question that someone just dropped in. Are you guys going to be working with the new MLR team in your area? And how's that going to run in terms of, do they do an academy, or are you partnering up with those teams?
Yeah, I mean, that's really exciting. It's definitely in the works. We're one of two venues they're looking at to make their primary residence, and those discussions are on. But regardless, like, talking to their GM and their coach, I've been in constant contact with them over the last few weeks and months, probably dating back to like the LA Sevens, and they're really excited to like not only be competitive year one in the MLR, but also to like immerse themselves in Californian rugby. They do want to find ways of setting up like an academy type structure, like coming from Australia. That's what they know, and that's what they know best. And but like, I've had to kind of like almost take a step back, because the academic difficulty of getting into UCLA, like, there's no guarantee that you can just bring your crop through UCLA. But we're hoping that they can partner up with like local clubs like Belmont Shore, Santa Monica, some of the junior colleges around here. Kevin Battles runs a program up in Santa Barbara. Like, I think that they'll get out into all those youth programs. And then there's an inner city program, ISEF, that does great work with a charter network of schools in like South LA. So like, they're going to really immerse themselves. But what we have talked about is like the opportunity for UCLA and the LA team to align coaching. There might be opportunities for like some of their marquee players that they bring in. Like, I can't name names, but like some significant like Australian internationals, etc., who maybe are 31 more year of their career but want to get into coaching. So we're hopeful that we can avail of some of their services and give them a kickstart into coaching, and whether they become our kicking coach or our backs coach or whatnot. And even for me, like, it's like, I'm still a young coach, and I mean, all of us coaches, we're always learning. So for me to be able to go shoot boot with a guy that's coached Gordon, a guy that's been on the national Australian Sevens team on the regular, and go through video, film, and exchange notes is brilliant. So, and with their training schedule that they're looking at, you know, they're going to train like early morning and midday, and then we train in the afternoon. So the availability of their coaches and their players to collaborate with us is really, really high. And there are windows built into the MLR where college age athletes are allowed to participate in like camps, training, and whatnot. So one of which is like the latter end of the summer, and then there's another break over through December and winter where college age athletes are allowed to train. So we're hoping that, like, you know, we're not going to be Loughborough or Hartbury where like we are like a feeder program to Gloucester and whatever. But we're hoping that there is opportunities. We've got some really high level players at UCLA who project on to be Eagles and professional players, and we're hoping that it gives them an opportunity to maybe train in during those windows and grow themselves as players and test themselves against some really, really top players and like take from their knowledge. So I'm excited about it, because, you know, I think a rising tide, you know, raises all boats. So I'm excited to have them here, and I don't see any downside. So I'm excited to like collaborate. And if they end up based out of UCLA, which is something that they're exploring at the moment, then even better.
That's awesome. Yeah, and the they're all set up. It's beautiful. If not, what kids have you got currently that we should be looking for the future in one of those MLR teams or even the US national team?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of got a mixture of talent. I mean, one is Sean Seawards. He's gone into his senior year. He was part of the football program here for 2 years and transitioned over to rugby. Big guy, like pounds, and he's been playing rugby for a year, back to being a prop. Can you still hear me? I think it's breaking up. Is it? You still there? Okay, perfect. Yeah,
I can still
we
hear
try not
you.
to single out players, but I mean, there is some real talent on the team. A couple of our guys, Eric Napowski, Shane Barry, have all been like invited to AllAmericans or US under-18 at one point in time. Lucas LeCamp, he's a freshman with us. He was on the U18 US team. He's also represented Hong Kong. He's an exceptional talent. So like, we're really excited to see some of those athletes. And then, I mean, we've also got some really talented kids from overseas, you know, especially from the UK, who have played England counties or gone through London Irish and Saracens academies at under 16, under 17 level, and maybe they weren't contracted in the UK, but their ability to maybe, if they can keep developing within our program, to make a career in rugby in MLR is probably highly likely. So, yeah, a few guys to look out for.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. We need to get some players for you. So what positions specifically is it that you're looking for? What kind of guys and girls are you looking for? Positions that you're maybe missing or you're short on? Probably more so. There's some certain positions more than others that you constantly need to be filling in. What should we be looking for in terms of the positions, the types of players?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the 20. I mean, obviously the 21 season, they're already coming in, but for 22 and 23, we'll be graduating a lot of our pack out. So for the guys looking the next couple of years, props, hookers, 8-man, anywhere. We've got a decent stock of flankers, but I mean, they're so versatile over here. So anything in the pack really, and then it kind of flips on its head because a lot of our backline are really young, which is exciting.
Okay.
But 2 years, we're going to be losing our fly half. We'll be losing our scrum half. And like that outside center I'm talking about, he'll be graduating to his senior year. So because of the nature of college rugby, you're always turning players over within 4 years. So like you're constantly looking to recruit for all positions. And even if you're stopped in a position, like they are at a point where they're going to be gone in a year or two anyway. So you've always got to prepare. So I mean, we're inviting all positions, but I mean, yeah, like if I was to put my Santa's wish list together, I'd be looking for some big forwards for sure.
Some big boys. I've got a few South Africans coming on pretty soon. Well, we constantly have South Africans coming on, and so I'm excited to get a few of those in front of you. And then maybe even from my local area, there's a couple of kids coming through. I mean, my local club, we're constantly churning out 10 to 15 guys that are really solid in terms of American rugby level. So we'll see what we can do for you. See if we can find a few from around here as well.
Florida's actually been a bit of a hotbed for me in terms of finding guys who got some great grades. I mean, there was a guy at Okapi, a prop that we talked about. He's got great grades, and there's an Argentinian kid that I talked to down at another club, and phenomenal grades, and taking like loads of honors and AP classes, and their weighted GPAs are through the roof, and talking to them like they're just rugby through and through. So like that's been a real breath of fresh air. I mean, I never thought that like Florida would have been like one of the hotter beds, but I mean, it's testament to like programs like some of the ones that you're involved in, and some of the other programs down there, that there's some really good stuff being done, and some expat populations in Florida who are now we're starting to seeing the benefit of their coaching from kids from grassroots, and now those kids are becoming high school kids, and my coaches are Argentinian, South African, English, and Irish, and like, oh, okay, there you go.
I need to throw this very important name. You need to take a note of it. He's got about 3 years left of high school. It's Keaton McClevey, and his dad needs a really big scholarship because he can't afford to go there. All right, good. Looks a bit like a guy, but smaller.
Sure, I'm sure he's probably played against you, has he?
Yeah, no, he's handy, but yeah, he's. I'm never going to be able to afford those rates at that school, so I want to make sure that we get him on track. He's doing well academically, so he fits there as well. So you never know. You may have to deal with a McClevey on that side of the country in a few years from now.
Brilliant.
Listen, mate, is there anything else that you feel like the folks out there that are watching? Is there anything else that you'd like them to know about UCLA? Maybe the lifestyle over there. Obviously, you spend 90% of your day surfing and not coaching rugby. So aside from that, is there anything you think that would be interesting for the guys to know?
Yeah, I think especially for the internationals, trying to paint a picture of like what type of a campus it is, because I guess UCLA is a little bit unique in that sense, and that like some of the American powerhouse rugby college programs, they're out in the middle of nowhere, which is great. Like they're college towns, and I'm sure that's a lot of fun, and that's what they're known for. And then you've got like your urban campuses in New York, Chicago, whatever, where you're like immersed in a major city of the world. You step outside of your lecture hall and you're on like Fifth Avenue or something, right? So UCLA, I think, has a hybrid of the two, because like the city of LA is the second biggest city in the United States, but it's more like 16 pockets of micro cities. You've got Westwood, you've got Santa Monica, you've got Venice, you've got Hollywood, and they all have their own. It's kind of like London with the boroughs, right? Mm. So like you are an urban campus in the sense of like you're based in a major city, but the campus is stunning. It's 2 miles square. It's full of greenery. You wouldn't think you're anywhere near a city. You don't see a high rise in sight. But then within Westwood, the community that it's nestled into, it is a college town. Like every coffee shop, bar, Target, everything is just filled with UCLA memorabilia, and it's predominantly students in the neighborhood of Westwood. So you get that college environment, but as an overseas student to really experience America, you also have the opportunity to go another mile, and now you're in one of the most vibrant sporting and arts and media entertainment cities in the world.
Yeah.
And then not outside of rugby as well. I mean, look, I've experienced, obviously, as you know, Caribbean life, but also like the harshness of Chicago winters, and we've got sun 350 days of the year here, or whatever it is. So, but yeah, the beach is 4 miles to the west of us. You've got mountains 2 miles to the north of us, and then there's just so much rugby opportunity here, and it's a really exciting time because we're building towards the 2028 Olympics, which are going to be in LA, and our campus is going to be part of the athlete village and part of where some of the Olympics will be held for some of the sports. You've got that, and then you have the LA Sevens, which are on the World Sevens series, and they're down the road in Carson, and all like 50% of the teams this year all came and practiced at our facility all week. So like our guys were exposed to Argentina, to Scotland, to Ireland, and that was a really cool opportunity for them as well. So yeah, so I just think our location is so key, and if anyone, I would encourage anyone, because it's hard for me to even just put words to it. But like, if people have the opportunity, whether your family are on vacation in the States, or if you're based domestically, like if you can get out here for a tour, if you can have the opportunity to swing by the campus and walk around even for 5 minutes, it'll blow your mind.
Is that's maybe what I can do? Is do you have maybe like a video, like a YouTube video that you could send us, and we can send it out to everybody that's asking about campus? Maybe I know that in the past I've seen like drone footage or something like that. That would be great if you have access to something like that you could send to us. Yeah,
definitely. We're actually in the works of putting one together where I did like a virtual, with everything that's going on with COVID-19. We were putting, myself and one of our assistant coaches were putting together a walking tour of the campus. So like, we'll just get that fully edited and get that over to you as soon as possible.
That would be beautiful, because obviously UCLA is one of the go-tos, right? Everybody calls and asks, and one of the first places we say, where would you like to go as a student athlete? And 9 times out of 10, UCLA comes in the conversation. It's just a famous school, and then people want to know what it is, what it looks like, what kind of place it is. So that would be very cool to check that out.
Yeah, it's synonymous with college sports. We've had something like, I think it's 424 Olympians who have accumulated 261 medals. Like, wow. That's most countries.
Yeah.
And then been national champions in like almost every NCAA sport. We've got top football. They were national champions and unbeaten for 10 seasons in basketball under John Wooden. So it's got this sporting prestige. And that's another thing I guess I'd note. Like, even though it's a top academic institution, like we're #1 ranked public school in America, it doesn't feel like it walking around. Because you're walking around campus and you're seeing people with protein shakes, and you're seeing people with foam rollers, and they're in Under Armour sports gear. Like, it almost feels like you're in an institute of sport, not like a nerdy Ivy School campus or whatever. Like, and those campuses, I'm sure, have like, they've got phenomenal sports programs as well. But like, it's really cool for me. This is an observation that I've made. I'm just walking around and everyone looks so athletic, and they're on their way to like rehab or treatment or skill session or video. Like, you're like, do any of you guys go to class? Like,
don't tell parents.
But they all do so well, and like our average, our GPA and everything, our guys all graduate in 4 years, and like, the school itself is so good in terms of academics, but it's just an amazing. Like, you're in line. It's because it's, I guess, such a condensed campus. It's the smallest of all the UC schools. It's only 2 square miles. So it's not like the football program is way over in their own private facility. Like, their facility is 20 feet across the way from the gate to our facility. And then you've got basketball stadiums beside that. So when you're walking around, like the guy that's going to play NFL, he's beside you. The girl who's going to the Olympics for springboard diving, she's right there. So when you line up for a smoothie or whatever on campus, like, these athletes are around you all the time. And like, if you have that mindset that there's these Olympians just bopping around the campus, like, they could be in front of you in line to get your smoothie.
Yeah.
And this is actually a funny one. Maybe as a prop, you'll appreciate this. But our boys have told me, like, Dave, when you're recruiting, you've got to mention this. But like, our campus has been ranked like #1 for on-campus cuisine for like God knows how many years.
I know it.
One of the dormitory food halls is the head chef worked at the White House before he took on this role. So like, food quality, which all the students that buy into like the on-campus dorms, which is like 9% of our students live on campus. Apparently their food is world class. So they're like, you got to mention coach.
Especially the rugby guys. The rugby guys are obviously going to be prioritizing the food side.
Because it's such a condensed campus, and we train in the athletic stadium. It's like a 12,000-seater athletic stadium. And the Neves Hill, where like a lot of the accommodation is, but also one of the main food halls, is just up on the hill at the top of the stadium. So like, in practice, you smell it coming down. So like, I've definitely built a culture where guys come early to practice and do work-ons, but like, if we've had a hard session, they are out of there.
Yeah,
like
straight downhill.
They've got scooters and skateboards and bikes, and they're up to that dining hall in 4 minutes flat. Like,
as a prop forward, I can absolutely appreciate that, mate.
They move quicker to the dining hall than they do on the field sometimes.
That makes sense. Hey, listen, Dave, this has been awesome speaking with you, mate. I really appreciate it. I want to let you go and get on with your day. I know you've probably already had your coffee, so you can get moving now and go surf a little bit before work. I'm just messing with you, mate. No, but hey, thanks very much. What I'm gonna do is I'll make sure that the people out there know about this. We'll record this and it gets sent out on our YouTube channel as well. So we'll definitely be able to get some guys and girls over to your program very soon. And I look forward to seeing the UCLA increase and grow and be successful over the next couple of years under your leadership, mate. It's exciting to see. I'm glad that you've progressed and gradually progressed over the last few years. It's been nice watching your journey, mate. But I just wanted to show you one thing, and this was not pre-done. Look at that. I forgot that was right there.
Brilliant. I've seen it in some of your promotional stuff. I'm like, there we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Proud of me. This has been fun. The work you do and the opportunities you're providing for students across the world is fantastic. So keep it up.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Thanks very much, Dave. I appreciate your time, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.